Alan, I want to bring in another sort of twist to this, which is the involvement of Michael Wolff, the author, who's written, of course, a number of best-selling books about Donald Trump. He's in this new batch of leaked emails. It's kind of fascinating. I mean, it's no secret that he has, I think, over 100 hours of tape of interviews with Epstein. He's talked publicly about that. But in an email from January 2019, Epstein writes to Michael Wolff about Donald Trump. Of course, he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. So we've had that. Now, that's during Trump's first term, 7 months before Epstein takes his life.
Tonight, we're breaking down a heated exchange from Piers Morgan Uncensored. This segment dives into leaked Epstein emails that mention Donald Trump and the bigger fight over transparency, accountability, and the political bias. Let's listen and then pause twice to unpack what's really being said.
Epstein wrote to Wolff, apparently, to address Trump's claim that he asked Epstein to resign his membership. He claims in these emails that he hadn't done. The White House says Trump barred him from Mar-a-Lago for being a creep and for stealing employees to go and work for him, and it turned out abuse some of them. But in a third email, Wolff wrote to Epstein with the subject line, "Heads up." This is December the 15th, 2015. That's the day of a CNN Republican primary debate. Wolff says, "I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in the scrum afterwards." Epstein responds, "If we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be?"
At this point, where the story shifts from leaks themselves to influence, talk of crafting answers, whether that's real coordination or just speculation, this is exactly why the leaks should be verified before they become headlines. Context is everything.
To which Wolff replies, "I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt. Of course, it's possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey's a great guy and has gotten a raw deal as a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime." Now, lots to unpack there, but my reading of this, why is Epstein saying if we're able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? Should we read into that he's maintaining some contact with Trump, that he actually would want to send his thoughts to Trump? And then you've got a pretty sort of, Michael Wolff's role in this is obviously clearly very, some would argue he's just being a classic investigative journalist, but the sort of way he's plotting for Trump to hang himself, as he puts it, by answers that it looks like they may give him to say. It all looks a bit weird, doesn't it?
It does, and we have to understand, too, that, when Jeffrey Epstein talks to a journalist, he's talking in his own self-interest. So we have to ask questions about what is his motive? Is he telling the whole truth? Is he trying to curry favor? Is he trying to attack? We know that Jeffrey Epstein was an extraordinarily manipulative guy. And so you don't take at face value anything he necessarily says, especially when he says it to an interviewer who's going to be writing a book which he hopes will be favorable to him. So I think skeptical minds have to be kept open, which is why every piece of documentation has to be revealed. Nothing. By the end of this, there shouldn't be a single piece of paper, a single recording, a single videotape that has been suppressed. Until everything has been released, nobody can be satisfied that the whole truth has come out. Even if everything has been released, we have to look at the statements critically, because not necessarily are every statement being made absolutely credible and true.
But Mike Nellis, I mean, that line, the more you read it, look, it may be misleading, it might be ambiguous, I might be misreading it. But for Epstein to reply to Wolff when he's told CNN are planning to ask him about his relationship with Epstein, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? I mean, is there any other way of reading that than that Epstein is still in contact with Trump to be able to do that? Or what? I mean, what are we reading into that?
No, I mean, it seems to me like they were still in contact. We know that they were close. We know that they were friends. And I think the other thing I would add to this is the number of times that Donald Trump or someone in his orbit has lied about his relationship with Epstein is just unbelievable to me. It goes back to the goofy, weird, creepy birthday card that they sent. Even Donald Trump was like, I've never made a doodle in my life, when we know document wise he has made doodles like that in the past. It lines up with what he was doing at the time. So they just keep lying. And to me, it does seem like they were probably having contact, probably coordinating on some level. And Michael Wolff's email is also interesting to me because he's talking about using it as leverage.
Notice how quickly the focus moves from Epstein wrote to how others used it? That's what turns private messages into political weapons. Everyone here is trying to shape the story before the full facts come out. Classic example of narrative before evidence.
If Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, if Epstein is in hot water, he wants Trump to win, he wants to protect Trump, leverage that to get a pardon or a commutation. And I want to add something a little bit to what Eric said a few moments ago about why this is so important, because I really believe this Epstein scandal is super important, not just because of the politics of it. I think the politics on it are going to be a wash, because if we get everything out there, there's going to be lots of Democrats implicated, going to be lots of Republicans. But we're in this situation where a lot of people do not believe that the federal government is going to take care of people, and that this government right now under Trump is a protection racket for billionaires and incredibly wealthy and powerful people. So we need to make sure that all these documents get out there, that these people are exposed, that people are held accountable, and they get some justice for these victims. I think that's incredibly important, regardless of the partisan politics of it. You go back 20 years to the Wall Street financial crisis, nobody was held accountable for crushing the economy. Nobody was held accountable for all the folks who had their lives ruined and their homes taken away from them. I think this is the same thing. We've got to show that this is not a two-tier justice system where the rich and the powerful can get away with abusing people and destroying people's lives.
It's fun. Can I just jump in there?
Yeah, it's interesting.
How unique and hypocritical that is for you to say, Mike. Thank you for jumping in on the political nature of whether the political needle moves or not, no matter what's in there. I agree. I think it's going to be a wash no matter what names are on there. I find it kind of funny now you're talking about equal justice applied under the law when the guy Trump just went through 4 years of the most ridiculous, unequal, two-tiered level of justice that we've ever seen. Alan can weigh in on this if you think I'm wrong. I mean, they were making felonies out of misdemeanor charges just so they can see if they can get a felony attached to Trump. And now all of a sudden, I think the Democrats were wrong. The lawfare that went on for the 4 years is wrong. And I also think that Trump should release this no matter who was in it, even if his own name is smack dab in the middle. One final thought. Let's not forget, Donald Trump told his people to disenfranchise Jeffrey, give him back his membership, get him away from Mar-a-Lago. There's a reason for that. I mean, this finger pointing is nonsense until we have the names and context of what's going on. We can't indict and convict Trump until we know what happened.
Transparency shouldn't depend on politics. Release every document, protect every victim, and let the facts decide guilt. No more rumors. If you're watching the Unfiltered Take, hit subscribe. We'll cut through the noise and bring the truth back to the surface.